to know just how you're feeling in your mind and your heart, and you can be authentically healing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Authentically Healing Podcast for this special Between Us edition with my husband, Rha-Sheen Brown, aka the Bishop.
You know it.
And I am sitting here with James, Leah, Rose, Jermel, and on Zoom we have Badger and Brittany, and and Kaylani. And we have a special this month. We want to highlight love and self-love and healing love. And as well as my husband and I will be celebrating 24 years of marriage on February 19th. And I thought it would be a good idea to kind of showcase what that journey has been, healing, growing individually, as well as coming into a place of oneness and being on the same road of healing journey together. So I have this crew of amazing couples. Maybe they can go around and just say how long they've been married and what other.
No, that's it. That's cool. Let's start
Okay.
there.
All right, start there.
Hello, I'm Rose, and Jay and I have been together for going on 4 years and married for officially 1 year.
Okay.
As of yesterday.
As of yesterday.
Happy anniversary.
Happy
Thank you.
anniversary.
Praise the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Leah, James' wife, and we've been together for
6 years.
okay.
No, don't you see how she hit him with that? Let me see if you know how long.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Way to pass the test, bro. Give me 2
That's
That's it. He almost ain't make it out, y'all. It was a setup question.
He
started sweating. I saw the sweat coming down the middle of his eyebrow. How long?
Right.
Dag, on TV, she trying to get him like that?
I
That's how
know
they
he
be
know.
doing
I
this.
know he know.
How about you, Badger?
Rob and Brittany Badgett, we have been married for 4.5 years coming this August. And I think together for about 5, I think.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. So exciting. So we don't really have like a real flow format. We did want to open it up for you all to ask us questions, and we're totally open. Are you?
All the way, let's
However we authentically answer these questions and being raw and real at the table.
Not the red table.
So,
The gray table. The
Uh-huh.
gray table.
I've heard a couple different versions about how y'all actually met. Bridget, you was out on the street.
Not the street.
You was just,
Minding my own business.
Spicy Latina. And he was a drug dealer with dreads. And I met somebody was selling some DVDs with some Black Power books.
I thought it was sunglasses.
I'm just trying to
It was
get
everything.
clarity
Confirm.
on how y'all actually met.
All right, so
Let him give you the
here
version.
is the actual story.
Uh-huh.
This is how it happened. I was a reformed drug dealer, transforming my life. So I picked up some new product.
I
to
got
sell.
him straight out of jail.
Reformed. And so I began to go out to these places. I used to do merchant work. And I used to work for this company called DS Max. And I was like one of their top sellers. And at that time I had like some things I wholesaled from them. I went over to Bridget's job. She was working at 9 West. And she was selling shoes. So I walked in.
Minding my own business.
Minding her own business. I walked over to her shop in the Wall Street area of Manhattan. When I get there, she is there. She said she trying to sell shoes. I waited for her to finish with a customer. And then after she finished with her customer, I proceeded to sell her items. Right? And
Baby
so
items.
They were kid items. So I said to her, hey, buy these for your little sister or for your siblings. And she said, my sisters is too big for this. I said, well, buy it for your kids. She said, I don't have any kids. I said, well, buy them for your man kids. She said, I don't have a man. I said, you do now.
And I felt right for that nonsense.
And that, my friend, is how you bag a chicken on the Lower Side of Manhattan.
I gave him my beeper number.
Lower Side.
I gave him my beeper number because I did not want him to have my actual phone number. But because I didn't take his number, I didn't know what number was beeping me.
But the Gen Z people, they don't know what a beeper is.
A beeper was a small device that you would call and put in the phone number that you needed them to beep you back from. I mean, it's back in
They know what a beeper is. Listen to that.
But that's what I had. I called him from my room phone because I used to have a phone in my room, and he got my number. But what was
I got her number. She wanted me to have it.
Whatever. But
what's wrong with her?
we met in like November, and after that we didn't meet face to face until like January, February. So we did a lot of phone talk, and you know I found out that he had a son. What you gonna say?
So here's what when I first met, I was just trying to get the cheeks. I wasn't really trying to be in a relationship. This is what was happening here. I was trying to get the cheeks.
Right.
And then I called her one day, and the chick started speaking Spanish on the phone. So I'm thinking I dialed the wrong chick because she ain't look like she was speaking no Spanish when I met her. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at the phone because it sounds like I'm on the phone with Rosie Perez. Now,
forgot.
This is a big deal. Rosie's a big deal for me.
Rosie Perez.
Perez.
Back in the 90s.
Do the right thing. Thank God for the... Anyway, we in a different kind of setting. So I'm like, yo, you speak Spanish? She's like, oh yeah, I'm Dominican. So I just became more intrigued at that moment. And I had my son, so I didn't really have time to really catch up with her because I was establishing him as I was becoming a single father. And so then I ended up catching up with her in January. You know what I mean? Completed my projects of getting the cheeks. And then...
You know what? Gotta taste the goods. Gotta taste the goods. I gotta see what I was working with.
And then, and that's the end of the story from right there.
But really, the fact that he was a single dad was like total motivation. Because I'm like, what? You are the single dad with the baby and not like the mom. And he was in Virginia at the time, Elijah, and then he was establishing custody in New York, and he was like literally taking the Greyhound bus every 2 weeks for his visits, grabbing Elijah, not to stay there, to bring him back, have him for the week, and then that I was like, wow, like the commitment to that had my uterus throbbing. I'm like, this is gonna be a good baby daddy. And that's how I just started. I started really getting. That's how it happened. I just got attracted. So I was like, what you got over there, Mr. Brown?
It's funny how we all black and they all Puerto Rican.
Y'all like the Latin spice now. Don't get it twisted. But that's how it started with us.
Yes.
You know.
Awesome.
Answer your question?
Yeah. And so how long did y'all actually date or whatever until you got married?
So that's the complication, right? Oh. Because technically I became pregnant 9 months after we met, and then he broke up. He had broken up with me like a month before that. You want to say why?
I used to have a weed spot. I used to have a weed spot, allegedly. You know, I don't know what the statute of limitations is in this world. Allegedly,
I knew he was waiting for that.
Allegedly, I had a weed spot in Brooklyn, New York, and she went to the weed spot and was smoking with the dudes.
I was waiting for him to come off the bus. And I I got there before he got there.
I mean, what was she supposed to do?
So, but we
not be smoking with the people.
But I know.
Right.
Well, listen, we had
wait
done
on
it
the stoop.
before,
No,
so
you
I
had-
didn't think.
You had done it with me.
Okay, yes.
So there's a
We've
difference.
already established that.
So
yes.
she was smoking amongst some other
Just
guys
waiting, just
Comfortability.
waiting.
who was with me.
Puff, pass.
And when
that's
I
all.
got there and I saw that, I felt it was disrespectful, so I walked her to the bus and sent her home.
Sent me right back to the bus.
End the relationship.
Right.
there.
So we thought it was the end, but yeah.
And then, yep. So.
Badger had to drink his water for that one.
About a 4-year process.
There was so when I had when I was pregnant, we didn't get married. That was 98, and when I had Debbie, and we didn't get married till 2000.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and in that little, it's an up and down. We'll get into that another time. Cause I'm pretty sure some more questions gonna come out. That's gonna bring those answers out. Cause that was heavy times.
All right, those are my warm-up questions.
Let's go. Let's go. Go ahead, knock yourself out.
Who wanna go next?
I don't know. I think my questions are a little.
Okay, let's
So
go.
I started off,
Okay,
Starting
strong.
off hot.
All
Let's
right,
go.
all right. Start strong with the
Strong with
spice.
the questions.
All
What's the
right.
question?
All right, this is not too bad. How do you value the things that your spouse values that don't mean as much to you?
That's good.
I'm gonna go.
Kind of like this podcast, right?
Right. I cares nothing about this podcast. No, go ahead.
He doesn't. It took a lot of build-up just to get him to be honest. So he bought all the equipment, set me up, and was like, "Peace."
I'm totally invested.
Like,
I'm
this
totally
is
invested.
all you.
That's you.
This is all you.
Oh, so invested.
Like won't do not one.
But that's a good question because I felt like even when I started the podcast, he was never really connected to this was your thing. This is what you want to do. So when I was asking for like insight and like support, he felt like just buying the stuff was enough support, or maybe like editing here or there, which
Bought, edit, recorded.
but
Transition.
But I wanted him to be like really a part of the journey. And what I learned in the last 2 years is that it's okay to have different lanes, and it's okay to have different interests in things. Like it's not always like he'll spend his whole life in the studio, and that's like not my thing. Him and Genesis talk about music and chords and MZH and all that. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
MHZ.
MHZ. Yes. Again, perfect example that I'm totally not in tune with their language. But I'll just, sit around sometimes in there while he's in his zone with his headphones. But I think in the beginning of that awareness and transition, I had a hard time feeling like we were still connected, because he's like doing his own thing and I'm like doing my own thing, and that really felt uncomfortable. And for a long time I was really jealous about the amount of time that he was spending doing whatever his thing was. I'm pretty sure he wasn't jealous at all about what I was doing. he looks forward to me just like, go do something. But for me, it was a hard transition. But when you just realize that it's okay to have different interests, but still be supportive and a cheerleader in the background, it actually draws you closer. Thanks. and it creates. I don't know. I was gonna say, the time away makes the heart grows fonder, but he literally is stuck.
Right. I feel like it's more of a woman thing
than
a man thing. Like, they like their little time, and then it's like, okay, come back. Like, I'm here.
Like, I'm still here in the same spot.
Right.
So I think that I don't think that it's that we don't recognize that you're there. It all depends on what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the type of person that I zone out heavy. If I'm focused, I'm focused.
Right, it's like ADHD.
And No, it's not just that. I'm on a mission.
Rob, when you had the VRs, you were gone in virtual world. Like he bought me virtual glasses too, so we could do that together. But he would be there literally till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, we work tomorrow. Like, we cannot do this every day.
What happened was I had a golf league on the VR. And I was the champ, and if I wouldn't have showed up, I vacated the championship. And I could not give Jerry and them the ability
He just be that committed
to say that. So I had to, protect what was mine. It's on a mission. But nah, when when I'm really zoned out, like really like music and all that, like for me, I turn hobbies into business. You know what I mean? So when I see there's a lane that I can get there, I'm gonna perfect that lane. You know what I mean? And if I'm really trying to perfect it, then it's different. You know what I mean? And when somebody tells me I can't do it,
it just gives me more drive.
You're gonna watch me do it. You know what I mean? So, I don't really feel like it's a bad thing to have a man who zones out about certain things when they're committed to it. You know what I mean? Obviously, yeah, you want them to come back, you want to be, but you don't want no man that's just up under you 24 hours a day either. Like that's not no healthy. Right. No, it's not all right. It's not all right. It's not. That's not. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
Like
it's not.
You got a man like that. That's a man who's insecure about what you're doing. Right. You know what I mean? Like if I'm really up under her all day, it's because I'm worried about what she out there doing or whatever, and I'm trying to hold on. Nah, boo, go ahead, babe. I trust you. Do you? I gotta do me so we can get to where we going. But yeah, there is a balance though, and I'm still learning that balance. 24 years in.
He's doing better. He's doing better. Just fill my love tank.
It's a big tank.
But I feel like our love languages are different, right? And what he does to extend and show love, that's how he loves, not how I receive it. So sometimes he'll do what he loves to do, which is giving. Oh my God, he will give. I mean, I'll take a flight and a trip, but he'll give, and then think like, oh, she's good. But my thing is words of affirmation. I like non-sexual touching. I mean, the sexual touch is good too, but sometimes I just want to just because hug and love, and he's not really touchy-feely. So sometimes I feel a little deprived of the emotional connection because, he's just like, okay, here. I remember he gave me...
I offered to get her another man for the time.
When we were younger, he's a mess.
Yeah, right.
When we
were younger, outside Brown's house.
He say that, but he ain't about that.
What you got, zombies?
Last night, when Usher was all up on Alicia, he was like, absolutely not. He was like, switch. I said, he loving that money. He like, come on, girl, get that money. But when we were younger, he will always buy me jewelry. And for me, I'm like, that's so lazy. Like, you buying, you just went to the jewelry store and you just bought me a bracelet. Or he gave me a watch, a gold watch. It was so cute, but I'm like, not even connected. I'm like, that, you probably get that for everybody.
Be the opposite.
But
give me that gold.
Give me that.
but like a couple of years ago for anniversary, he paid someone to like make this Scrabble board of like what our 18 years were. And he had like 9 in company. He had all the kids' names. He had Robbery. I mean, it was just, I was crying. I'm like, I had that thing in my office because he just put so much energy into that. And, that stuff, I don't mind if he gives me stuff, but it has to have some meaning.
Whatever.
Right.
It meant a lot to my pocket to buy that gold watch.
But, yeah, so that's how that kind of goes, is you want to balance out, but you won't feel as deprived if he's filling your love tank and putting energy into like what you like, and then when it's his turn, you got to kind of give him that space.
Right.
You know.
I have a question. So you said that, sometimes you feel deprived when he's, not making your physical, tangible deposits. Now, the two of you have 12 children.
Right.
You have grandchildren. You both run businesses. Is there like, is there an expectation that comes along with realism? Or is it just like, I need it, you gotta figure out how to give it?
No, so...
I need it and you gotta figure out how to give it.
No, baby, don't say that. So, I'm really big on, like, when he comes in, whoever comes in, you go wherever we are, and you acknowledge, like, baby, I'm home, I want my kiss, and if we're leaving, I want my kiss. Like, I need that check-in, check-out time.
But is that enough? Do you get a kiss? Now we gotta talk. Then you gotta get a hug.
So let me finish. So that's the quick version, because again, we're in passing. But when it comes time for downtime, I get that there's certain days where things are just overwhelming, and we're so exhausted that we might not even have that check-in. Or he has homework, or, last week we had a deadline with church stuff, or we have conferences and all of that. In that moment, we might not be getting daily, like, drops, but my tank's been full enough to sustain me. But, like, our early morning conversations is like epic for me. So, like, Sunday mornings before church, we enjoy that too, right? Mm-hmm. Give him some motivation to preach. But the conversations are like that's our time in bed. So, now with that said, if he always on his phone, or it's like late night texting or reels, because TikTok is like the devil in the house, in the bed. So if he's always like on that, I do be feeling some type of way, because I feel like this is our time, set aside. You agree?
Yes, as she's on the other phone doing the same thing.
Aye, Rha-Sheen, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't even do that.
I. You know she lying. The Dominican come out. No, but there are moments where so I'm a foster kid. You know what I mean? So I've learned to be able to adapt with me just being me. Because even if you lived in a foster home with a whole bunch of people,
right,
you have to still find your space where you can just be you and learn how to block everybody out. Mm-hmm. So I've never been the one, and even though you live with people, they're not your parents, you don't really get the emotional connection that you did with, all the people who are around you. So I'm not really the emotional guy all the time. You know what I mean? And some defects in me is I don't really like to be touched all the time either. You
right, like I gotta ask him, is it okay for me to get a hug?
She never asked.
I do. I've gotten better. Before I didn't ask, but he wasn't open to, like, I'm talking about.
Let's make it clear. I've never made a requirement for my wife to ask me, can she hug me?
No, but what I noticed.
Make sure we put that out.
No, I know. Right. But what I noticed is that there was a time, like maybe in the last 3 years, like this is how recent, I would hug him, or I would go to hug him, and he would like cringe. And at first, I'm like, things wasn't all the way great around that time, and I was just feeling like, why are you cringing? Because, like, it wasn't like a heart-to-heart connection. And it wasn't until he realized, like, you know what? Touching actually makes me uncomfortable. Any type of touching, like outside of sex touching, of course, makes me very uncomfortable. And then he started unpacking, like, dag, I don't think I've ever learned how to emotionally connect. And so that's why I say, like, can I get a hug? Just so he's prepared, and then he's present when he's doing it. or if he's sleeping anytime, I'm like, dude, you are not in jail anymore. But he'll always flinch, like ready to like fight. And that's a trauma response, you know. He's working through that. But that
See,
too.
What happened is I'm a thug. But it is
right.
a trauma
it's
response.
A trauma
though,
response.
You know? And it's crazy because you get to certain ages where you don't realize, you start to realize that you have not realized that you still have a lot of these challenges and stuff with you. Like I just really stopped having nightmares. You know what I mean? Of jail or fighting or somebody coming to kill me or me shooting somebody. I just stopped having those nightmares like a couple years ago.
Right.
So all of this stuff is just
cortex.
Like, what is it?
Cerebral cortex.
Yeah. Your nervous system's over.
Thank you.
He getting into the mental health things.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
So if you have, how have you learned how to manage your spouse's triggers and traumas? Because the longer you're married, right? So one of the things that I've noticed, even with us being married, is there were things that I didn't realize existed before I got married.
Right.
Because being in close proximity to somebody showed me and brought out things that I did not even know were there.
Right.
And so we are now having to navigate through things that I didn't even know were present. So how have you been able to kind of navigate and manage like each other's trauma and triggers as they've arisen? Because 24 years is a long time.
Right.
So I'm sure a lot of things have come up in that time. How have you guys been able to navigate through that?
And can we hear from the non-therapist first? I want to hear him.
I was going to have him go first.
You got him too. Okay, you got him too.
So I think that in our beginning years we were so busy with the kids and life and just moving and finding ourselves in our spaces and so forth and so on, that you don't really figure those things out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she was in school probably half our marriage.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then we was having, the
all
other half
kids.
was all these kids and dealing with them and
And
dealing
then
with
the
their
church.
issues and dealing with their problems, dealing with their challenges, and then the church and then the businesses and all this. So it really didn't get to a place to where, really, almost when we moved here.
Right.
When we moved into our house, where things kind of began to slow down for us and settle down, and the older kids was moving out the house, and our businesses were starting to stabilize, and now we got more time on our hands, and then this stuff that's going on around us,
and we're not in survival mode.
You know what I mean? And then my wife had cancer.
Yeah.
When she had cancer, things kind of turned like a 360, because now you're more conscious of the time that you have with each other.
Right.
You're more conscious of the time and the things that are around you. So it kind of slows you down. And in the process of that slowing down, you find yourself trying to be around each other because you're trying to take care of, or they trying to, spend as much time as they want with you, because now we realize we don't know exactly how much time we have on this earth and with one another and so forth and so on. And then you like, this person's kind of irritating me now. Like, like go that away.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you begin to see things about yourself, and you begin to see things about them that you didn't see in the first 20 years. You know what I mean? It's not that they didn't exist, but they were masked by all the things we were doing.
Right.
And now the things that we were doing, we're no longer doing anymore. And now we got to reevaluate what this relationship looks like, because she's not in school. She graduated with her master's. She passed the test. Those were things that she was focused on at that moment in time. When your focus is on these other things, but now you've accomplished those things, you've become successful in that space. You know what I mean? I'm chasing businesses, serial entrepreneuring, and all of a sudden all these things begin to exercise and come into a place of where it looks like it's beginning to be successful. And now you have to come back to each other. You know what I mean? But when you came back to each other, you both kind of grew in different ways as well too. So it's at those moments that you begin to mature, that you begin to realize, like, yo, I really got some serious stuff that I haven't dealt with yet. You know what I mean?
What's your serious stuff?
What's my serious stuff?
Mm-hmm. What's your realization?
Of my serious stuff?
Of your stuff.
My stuff is I'm not emotionally connected to people like that. Like I can easily cut people off. Easy. Like don't when I love hard. Like if I got people around me, like the people who we in this room, like I love you guys all the way. But there can come a moment where you do something to me and my defense mechanism is
like when Badger don't pick up. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Authentically Healing Podcast with Briggitte P. Brown, LCSW. You can continue to tune in on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and all other streaming platforms. Please like and share and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Authentically Healing Podcast with Briggitte P. Brown, LCSW. Please email me at authenticallyhealingpodcast@gmail.com and tell me how this podcast is connecting with you and what topics you'd like me to touch on. Send me what areas you're struggling in, any testimonies, and share your story. Until next time, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. And the God of peace himself will sanctify you wholly, spirit, soul, and body. Continue to own your whole story in your own words. Until next time.
When I just how you're feeling, your mind and your heart, and you can be authentically healing.
Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Authentically Healing Podcast with Briggitte P. Brown, LCSW. You can continue to tune in on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and all other streaming platforms. Please like and share and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Authentically Healing Podcast with Briggitte P. Brown, LCSW. Please email me at authenticallyhealingpodcast@gmail.com and tell me how this podcast is connecting with you and what topics you'd like me to touch on. Send me what areas you're struggling in, any testimonies, and share your story. Until next time, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. And the God of peace himself will sanctify you wholly, spirit, soul, and body. Continue to own your whole story in your own words. Until next time.
When I just how